With City of the Wolves coming out next year, I've been kind of amped up and been looking for a modern way to play some of the classic Fatal Fury games that I've been missing out on, particularly the Real Bout series. The Real Bout series was, iterations of Fatal Fury that I didn't really play because, well, by the time those games came out, my local arcade spot, shut down. So I was unaware of the Real Bout series until much later when I got a hold of the internet and I kind of discovered that there was all these Fatal Fury games that I've been missing out on. So what I wanted to do was basically discover if there was a modern way to play these games, if there was some sort of collection, things of that matter. And surely enough, there was. There was Battle Archives for the PS2. However, those games were censored, and to me, censorship is an automatic no. It butchers the game in one way or another. It's not an authentic arcade experience. So that wasn't an option. There was also the ACA releases from Hamster Publishing. However, those games use emulation. And although I don't have anything against emulation, I wanted something that played closest to the arcade as possible. What I mean is something that reads the raw data, reads the raw code, and then displays it on an image without having to go through software or anything of that matter. And lucky enough, SNK was a big supporter of the Saturn back in the day, and they ported Real Bout Fatal Fury on the Sega Saturn. And that's what I'll be reviewing right here. Now, before I bought this part, I only ever saw Real Bout on the internet. So, yeah, in terms of arcade accurate gameplay, I gotta trust SNK's work because they were successful in some of the other ports, except Fatal Fury 3, but that's a whole different story. But some of the other ports were really good. And when I started playing this, I gotta say it felt pretty solid. Combat is done on 3 planes, though a majority of the fighting will be done in the middle plane. The only ever reason why you want to move to a different plane is to either get away or to attack from an angle. However, your opponent can knock you back to the middle if you're not careful. Basic attacks can be chained together and finished with a basic knockdown attack or a special. You can also extend the combo by knocking your opponent to different planes and then back again. Though doing that is pretty tough and requires a bit of skill and timing. While recording footage for this game, I was only able to pull this off maybe like 1 or 2 times. So yeah, it is kind of tough. Nonetheless, Real Bout is much easier than Fatal Fury 3. I'm going to compare this a lot to Fatal Fury 3 because these games were kind of released back to back. But Fatal Fury 3, I don't know what is it about the AI, but it was tough. Really, really tough. And I guess SNK realized what they did, so they made Real Bout easier than the previous title. Still, just because it's easier doesn't mean it's a plain game. There's a deep fighting mechanic here, so there's a lot to discover. SNK actually reused assets from Fatal Fury 3 here, from both portraits and sprites, though that was a pretty common practice at the time. The Saturn with the 1MB RAM card easily displays the majority of the animation while maintaining that pixel perfect image that was present on the Neo Geo. The characters are bright and have pretty good detail to them. The backgrounds are varied and have something going on in the back which does breathe life into this game. My major criticism in regards to graphics would be the fact that they reuse the same 4 stages for multiple fights and one final stage for geese. But still, these locations are unique and brimming with personalities that I'm willing to give it a pass. The controls are responsive for the most part, but the Saturn pad, unlike Capcom's outings, does not lend itself well to real Bout's layout. Like its Neo Geo counterpart, the game primarily uses 4 buttons, 3 attacks, and 1 sidestep. It works well for the Neo Geo since the buttons are laid out across, but the 6-button layout of most controls and arcade sticks will require you to adjust the buttons in the options menu. If you're using a modern fight stick with an adapter, then the layout actually becomes easier since you could just assign everything to the bottom row. Though modern fighting game players will need some time to adjust since the attacks were scaled down to 3 buttons. Also, I do have to point out that performing specials and supers is a little more complex than normal, but all in all, it's not too bad. Music has been arranged to take advantage of the CD's Red Book audio, and for the most part, it sounds great. The beats and tones match the arcade original while utilizing real instrumentation. It would have been preferable if there was an option to switch between the arranged and original soundtracks, but for what's here, it's good. Sound effects are clear and pretty much on par with the Neo Geo. Every voice clip is clear, every impact, everything perfect. However, a line or two were cut, but that's probably due to the CD-ROM's limitations. When it comes to presentation, SNK always hits out of the park, and that statement stays true for a real Bout. Whether it be the intro, the transitions, the in-game cutscenes, the ending, the post-fight commentary that the fighters give, all of it makes this game feel much more alive. And I gotta say, Capcom wasn't really doing that too much. They're doing some of it, but SNK took that extra step. And because of it, it makes Southtown feel a little bit more alive, and it just makes the game that much more special. And there you have it, guys. Real Bout Fatal Fury on the Sega Saturn. Oh, Real Bout Girl, that's Dansetsu if you prefer that title. But yeah, this is an excellent port. I gotta give it an A. You know, it got some multiple languages. The load times aren't really that bad. They're pretty tolerable. The graphics are there, the animation's there, the music, beautiful. My only gripe that I have with this is that it's kind of bare bones. It's just the fact that there's no practice or versus mode, but I'm willing to give it a pass because, you know, a lot of fighting games weren't doing that at the time. I wish it were included, but they didn't, so it's not too bad. You could find this game for around $40 loose or $60 complete. But from my understanding, most of these copies came with a 1 megabyte cart. So if you want the whole complete set, then yeah, you have to find the one with the 1 megabyte cart. The only version better than this, believe it or not, would be the Neo Geo. And yeah, I'm not gonna be spending $100-something just to play one game. Anyway, this was Knockout 21. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. And like always, have a good one. Take care, you guys.